Well, thank you very much. And let me say that I'm extremely delighted to be here today. We at UNEP believe that, in fact, this meeting has emerged to be an extremely important platform to discuss, to debate, and to chart out pathways for emerging challenges and opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, we meet 7 to 8 months after the Rio summit in Brazil, where heads of state and governments renewed, recommitted, and reinvigorated pathways towards sustainable development. In about 2 weeks, we will also be meeting in Nairobi in the Governing Council of UNEP. In fact, the first universal governing council of UNEP, a direct outcome of the commitments that heads of state and government took on at Rio. And the theme that we have for the Governing Council is from outcome to implementation, from the outcomes of Rio to implementation by member states. Now, the debate and the discourse here is about how the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, perceive, plan, and will choose the future that we all want. And how that future relates to the developed, developing, and least developed countries in a global community of 190 countries. And for while the decisions and trajectories of North America, Europe, and Japan may have once shaped geopolitics and the development path of nations, today the BRICS, in terms of rising levels of GDP and representing significant population of the globe, have an increasingly important and significant say and hand in our collective future. The Global Environment Outlook 5 that was compiled by UNEP in advance of Rio Plus 20 made that quite clear. Of 90 major environmental goals, significant progress has only been made in 4. And which 4? Phasing out lead in gasoline, eliminating ozone-depleting substances, improved access to water supply, and boosting research to reduce pollution of the marine environment. In 40 of those goals, of the 90 goals, some progress was detected, including the expansion of protected areas such as national parks and efforts to reduce deforestation. In 24, there was hardly any progress detected, and that includes the major challenges that we face today: climate change, desertification, and drought. Further deterioration was posted for 8 goals, and those include the state of the coral reefs and wetlands, and no assessment was made of 14 other goals due to a lack of data. Now, one of the outcomes of the Rio Plus 20 summit was the recognition of the green economy in the context of sustainable development and poverty eradication as an important tool for realizing a sustainable 21st century. Many of the countries that are in BRICS are already pursuing elements of this pathway. China, with an estimated $1.28 trillion to be invested in areas such as renewable energies and clean tech in its latest 5-year plan. To the very rural livelihoods that are being enhanced in South Africa under green economy transition. Other outstanding contributions to both climate change challenge and the biodiversity one include Brazil's efforts to reduce deforestation in the Amazon, which has led to Brazil having one of the biggest emission reductions on the planet. There are shining examples from India and Russia too. But whether it be the BRICS or the developed economies, the current development pathways are neither happening at the pace or the scale that is needed to reverse the trends that are outlined in our Geo5 report. And yet within the seeds of the Rio Plus 20 outcome, from a 10-year framework of program for sustainable consumption and production, a move to define a more inclusive indicator of wealth, to corporate sustainability reporting, sustainable procurement, and defining a set of sustainable development goals, there are some real opportunities for all of us to advance towards a sustainable century. The role of the BRICS in taking these directions forward will be crucial to their success given the influence of these countries on world affairs today and their rising influence into the future. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world of historical legacies, and this must be met, but we also have to acknowledge that all of us have a role to play in delivering a sustainable future, a role that reflects national development ambitions and interests, but also echo to those of the globes in general. And this has to be reflected in the choices that we make. One of the speakers before me has already discussed this in some length. From the choices we make in what we eat, to where we live, to how we construct, and how we travel. So how do we as a global community frame this debate so that the principle of fairness and equity for all peoples is paramount now and into the coming decades as we together implement the future we all want? And I would suggest it's in the choices that we make and the technologies that are available and that would allow us to make those choices. I thank you very much for your attention.